Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and welcome back to Week 8 of the WBE VGC League. I'm the coach of the Melbourne Rotoms, and this week we're up against Poijz, the coach of the Detroit Littens. As always, I'm going to do a quick recap of the standings, talk about the team matchup and the team I'm going to be bringing, and then get into the actual battle. So, if you're only interested in certain portions of that, check out the timestamps linked in the description below. Thanks as always for supporting both myself and the Melbourne Rotoms, as well as the entire league. This is the first season of the WBE VGC Draft League. It has been a blast and an honor to be a part of, so I hope everyone's been enjoying the show. The regular season ends after week 10, so there are 3 weeks, including this week, before the regular season ends, and then the top 8 teams move on to a single elimination playoff bracket. So, as you can see from the standings, we're doing pretty well right now. We have a 6-1 record with a +9 differential, and we're towards the top of the league. As I've stated previously, I don't care as much about finishing number 1 or whatever in the regular season, and I want to just improve and learn from all my battles, especially because we made some free agency picks, and so we dropped some Pokemon that we previously had on our roster, Pokemon like Torracat and Duosion for new picks like Noivern and Stoutland. So I want to figure out how to best incorporate those into our team composition. So, yeah, we're doing well right now. I think after last week's win, we should be in playoffs, but I think mathematically we're actually not guaranteed it yet. But if we win one of the last 3 battles, we are 100% locked in. So the goal is obviously to win not only this week, but, the subsequent weeks. But I also want to just get as much experience and, as always, kind of carry the momentum and feel good about my play and my team building. So, yeah. Poijz, as I mentioned, is our opponent this week. He is the coach of the Detroit Littens, and he is 1-6 right now, but I really do think, he had one of the toughest schedules up until this point in the league. He's gone up against so many of the opponents, so many of his opponents, are in the top 8 right now. And in addition, I feel like he's really been improving rapidly from week to week, right? So, as always, in Draft League, you never want to underestimate anybody, and I actually think, this matchup is really, really scary, because he has a lot of Pokemon that I feel like match up particularly well against. So, as always, yeah, in Draft League and Pokemon, record doesn't really matter, and it's all about kind of the preparation, how you execute your prep. So, yeah, I'm excited to go up against him, though. So, let's quickly take a look at the actual matchup. So, as always, I've been, making this graphic, which I started including a couple weeks ago. So, as I mentioned, I appreciate everyone's feedback on this, and yeah, I hope everyone's been enjoying it. Hopefully, it makes it a little bit easier to dissect things. So, in terms of the matchup this week, as you can see, Poijz's team is on the right, and those are the Pokemon that I am thinking of bringing on the left. I think he's got some really scary stuff, and that's mainly because of Cobalion and Rillaboom. We've actually gone up against Terrakion and Virizion at this point, but we've not gone up against Cobalion, which I actually think matches up pretty well against our composition. Cobalion is a Pokemon I actually have been a huge fan of in VGC 2020, and I was actually hoping to draft it earlier on, so Poijz ended up getting it before I could get to it. And so Cobalion is just a really big threat because it's very bulky. You can throw defensive items onto it like an Assault Vest or a Type Resist Berry, or you can even run something like a Life Orb. Cobalion by itself isn't that scary, but Poijz also has beat-up users. He's got Persian and Alolan Persian and Charizard. Now, I fully expect to see the Alolan Persian. Charizard, I feel like, would be kind of definitely surprising to see in this matchup, given that I have, Excadrill, Toxtricity, Gigalith, and Primarina, but obviously, there are multiple beat-up options here, and that's the main fear. If Cobalion gets +4 on turn 1 from a beat-up, we're going to be in an awful position because my team is not defensive enough to really just stall out Cobalion in the subsequent turns. So, that's the biggest threat that I've identified, but, Rillaboom is also really scary, especially because Primarina has been one of our premier sweepers this season, and Rillaboom is pretty much just one of the best answers to Primarina. It's one of the reasons why Primarina got less popular in the normal VGC format, actually. So, that's something I definitely expect to see it from his end. I think Inteleon could be pretty good. Now, he actually has G-Max Inteleon, so he's not able to max Skyzer and change the weather, but, Inteleon matches up really well into Noivern, Excadrill, Whimsicott, and Gigalith. It can do a lot of damage, and so I think that will probably come out, although I don't expect him to prioritize that Pokemon as much. And as I mentioned, Persian, really good support for the Cobalion. You can use Beat Up onto it, Fake Out support, and it's just relatively fast as well. In terms of Pokemon I think are likely to come from his end, Girder is actually really interesting, right? Because it's kind of like a weak man's Conkeldurr, and Conkeldurr is one of the best answers against Sand, especially, Excadrill and Gigalith. So, Girder could also come out as kind of a potential Trick Room mode in case he goes with Trick Room from his team. And for that reason, initially I was thinking maybe I want to try to have a Trick Room mode on my team, but if Girder comes out, it can kind of sweep me under Trick Room. I don't want that because my Gigalith doesn't exactly match up super well against Girder, and Gigalith would kind of be the Trick Room setter, or sweeper here. Miltank is an interesting pick that I think might come out. He's actually brought Miltank out a lot. I don't think it matches up specifically well against our team composition, but he just seems like he's a really, really big fan of Miltank, so I don't want to underestimate it. He's run a lot of kind of offensive sets throughout the last couple of weeks. And then finally, you have Slurpuff and Meowstic. Both of those are really interesting options because Slurpuff obviously has the Unburden combination with Rillaboom. Meowstic has a lot of priority, you know, can go for Fake Out, Thunder Wave, even screens if it wants to. So while it's not very offensive, it will be able to support the team really, really nicely. So I think Rillaboom and the Cobalion are probably going to be the main sweepers we have to go up against, and it's going to be supported by all the other Pokemon that I mentioned. I'd be really surprised to see Charizard, as I mentioned. Rapidash, I'm not sure if he's even brought out at all at this point, as well as the Chinchino. I think both of those just don't make a lot of sense in this matchup. So I definitely expect to see the top 4 and then a combination of 2 from the likely bucket. So, in terms of Pokemon I think I have to bring, Whimsicott's pretty much always a must bring. You know, there's like not really a great, you know, counter to it from any of the teams that we've gone up against, and that's the case here once again. Now, as always, with Whimsicott, we have to play around the fake outs. There's actually a lot of fake out users from Poijz's side. You know, Persian obviously has it, Rillaboom has it, Meowstic could have it as well, so have to worry about that on turn 1, but still really good for Tailwind support and, you know, just general utility. I think Excadrill is actually a must bring because that's my only way to actually hit the Cobalion for super effective damage, so if I don't bring Excadrill, I don't see how I'm really handling the Cobalion. And finally, I actually have Noivern and Toxtricity under this bucket because I was thinking of leads to go with against this composition. And I actually, you know, initially I was like, oh, maybe Whimsicott Excadrill or Gigalith Excadrill, but I was like, he's going to prepare super, super hard for Excadrill, right? And I also want to deny the beat up turn 1 and find a way to guarantee deny it as long as he's not like Scarf Persian. So the lead that I actually ended up coming up with was Noivern plus Toxtricity, where I can lead Noivern, Dynamax it, and then just go like Overdrive and Max Airstream or Max Wormwind into the beat-up user, which will probably be Persian, get a knockout onto that, and then just deny the beat-up from going off. Because if Cobalion does not get the +4 attack, it is such a weak attacker. And, you know, if you've seen me play with it in VGC as well, you'll see that, like, at +4, it is a monster. But it's only base 90 attack, right? So if you don't get the beat-up off and you're eating these attack drops from Max Wormwind, it's not going to do very much damage. So that's kind of the game plan that I've come up with, and I feel like Noivern and Toxtricity covers a lot of the options. Rillaboom is a huge threat to us. It matches up so well into Primarina, Excadrill, and Gigalith, and so both of those are pretty much our best answers against Rillaboom as well. And it covers for pretty much everything else, bar, you know, a really scary, like, Choice Scarf on Persian or Charizard, for example. So that's something we might want to watch out for. Now, in terms of Pokemon I'm considering, you know, Gigalith is always obviously with Excadrill, but I didn't have it under Must Bring necessarily because I could set up the Sand myself. Gigalith offensively does really poorly into this matchup, actually. You know, it gets completely walled by Cobalion. Rillaboom is able to just, you know, glide or Wood Hammer into it. I don't really do that much damage with it. Initially, one lead I was thinking of was going for Gigalith and Noivern, actually, and go Explosion Protect turn 1 into Excadrill. That way I get some chip damage off, bring in Excadrill, and then I can Dynamax either Excadrill or Noivern. But I was like, if he leads Cobalion, he might just Steel Spike into the Gigalith, right? And even if I have Sash, like, I don't do that much damage. And then after the defense boost, Cobalion's really tough to deal with. So, yeah. Stoutland, you know, can always enable and do fun things, but I probably won't bring it unless I'm bringing Gigalith, and I think it's kind of hard to justify both of those. Decidueye, I actually thought really heavily about, because I was like, you know, Rillaboom's 100% coming out here, so I can maybe take advantage of his grassy terrain, go for grassy glides, but it doesn't do very much damage in a Cobalion, so I don't feel super good about that, because Cobalion is by far the biggest threat here, but we also need to have answers against Inteleon and Rillaboom. Those are the 3 Pokemon we basically need to beat offensively. And so, you know, Gigalith, I think, you know, made a lot of sense. I just, like, I didn't think that we 100% needed it, which is why I was, like, have it under considering rather than must bring, but in the end, yeah, I think, like, Gigalith makes a lot of sense. I don't want Gigalith, Stoutland, and Excadrill, because Stoutland doesn't really do too much into Cobalion, so I ended up dropping that. Decidueye, I thought, could be kind of cool to take advantage of the terrain, but that doesn't make much sense, and so that leaves the final Pokemon in Primarina, and I think, like, Primarina is really tricky here, right, because my opponent has a Rillaboom. Last week, we went up against the London Bisharps, and they had a Thwackey, and even Thwackey was really, really scary, right? And so, Rillaboom just does so much damage in a Primarina. Even if I Dynamax Primarina, a Grassy Glide in grassy terrain just dunks on us completely. So, that's why I didn't think that Primarina was a must-bring Pokemon. It also doesn't really have super effective attacks into Cobalion. If Cobalion has an Assault Vest, then, you know, and I Dynamax Primarina, Cobalion and Rillaboom are going to beat the Primarina. So I feel like it's not a great Dynamax option. That being said, you know, I was still considering bringing it because if he plays a more Inteleon-based strategy and I don't bring Primarina, I might be in some trouble. So I feel like I still need to bring it, and it could still work for us offensively if, for some reason, he goes and completely deviates from the Cobalion and the Rillaboom that I'm expecting. And as you see from the bottom bucket, not much reason to really consider those. I thought a little bit about Bronzor for Trick Room strategies, as I mentioned earlier, but Girder being a potential, you know, Pokemon to come out here is really scary, so I don't want to risk that. Sea King, there aren't even any electric type attacks to redirect away with Lightning Rod. If only we could redirect like grass type attacks away. You know, if Sap Sipper worked like Lightning Rod, then I'd actually consider it just to protect Primarina, but nah. And then Pheasant would be nice against Rillaboom, but that's pretty much it. And like the bottom 3 Pokemon are just really frail. So yeah, I don't think we can really go with any of them. So from the considering bucket, I ended up deciding with Gigalith and Primarina just because, I mean, they're the most consistent, they're what we normally bring, but I didn't feel like they needed to come out in this matchup necessarily. So that is it for the matchup. Let's talk about the actual team that we're bringing this week. As for the team that we'll be bringing this week, as I mentioned, Toxtricity plus Noivern was a lead that I came up with specifically to deal with Cobalion plus the Alolan Persian, which I think is a very likely lead, and it's the one I'm most afraid of. Because once again, we will lose this game if Cobalion gets the +4 attack, so we have to deny it as much as possible. And you know, this lead not only counters that, but also has some better options. For example, when I played against Jack or Nerd Out a couple weeks ago, he also had beat up stuff, and I led very specifically to beat the beat up stuff, but then the beat up stuff didn't come, right? And then I was stuck with a Torracat and a Whimsicott out, and that was not very good offensively. So what I learned from that was, yeah, I want lead options that are a little bit more flexible, so if my opponent doesn't lead what the scariest lead combination is, I still have, you know, a consistent matchup against everything else across the board. So the idea behind this lead is if you're not Scarf Persian or, you know, Scarf Charizard, then what I can do is just go for Overdrive, Dynamax, Max Wormwind turn 1 onto Persian. Persian, if it goes for beat up, will not get the beat up off, and if it goes for fake out, well, you're not going to knock out either Pokemon with Cobalion because they'll get the attack drop with Noivern. Cobalion is so much weaker if it does not get any attack boosts because it's only base 90 attack. So the idea is just to deny the beat up as much as possible. This lead is a great way around it, and so yeah, well, I at least feel like I want to go with this in game 1, depending on what we see in team preview. Standard set here for the most part. You know, we've run Scarf Toxtricity a lot before. We have to watch out for a potential Choice Scarf either on Persian, Charizard, or Inteleon, so want to keep those in the back of our mind, but that's why I love leading Noivern. The Frisk immediately allows me to see if there's a potential Choice Scarf on the opposing side, and so that gives us a lot of valuable information. The speed investment here allows us to outspeed Max Speed Inteleon, Max Special Attack, Rest in HP. I'm running Nuzzle just as another speed control option. You know, other options are like Hyper Voice or Sludge Wave, or, you know, Snarl, for example, but I don't think any of those are really valuable. Nuzzle at least allows me to control the tempo a little bit and can be really valuable against Cobalion specifically, because it means then I could just slow down Cobalion. Excadrill will outspeed even without Tailwind or Sand support, and I think that's pretty nice. Noivern's also very standard here, just Life Orb, Frisk, Max Special Attack, Max Speed. Once again, there's an Inteleon on the opposing side, so we have to outspeed the Inteleon. Maybe could have taken a little bit of investment out of speed and put it in HP, but I didn't think it really made that much of a difference. And the moveset here is standard, Tailwind, Draco, Hurricane, Protect. Now, we could run different options over Protect, like Shadow Ball, Heat Wave, Flamethrower, for example. But I think Protect is kind of nice because one lead that I mentioned previously, if he does not focus with the Cobalion, like if he doesn't lead Cobalion, is Gigalith Noivern, because then I can Protect Explosion turn 1 to get the free switch into Excadrill and just like overwhelm with offense. And so it's kind of the reason why I like Protect. Still thinking about it, and we'll make my decision before actually getting into the game, but that's what I'm leaning towards right now. So idea behind this is to potentially Dynamax and Disrupt with Max Wormwind and Max Airstreams. With Life Orb should do a fair amount of damage. Both of these absolutely essential in dealing with the Rillaboom, which is certain to come out from the opposing side. Next Pokemon is Excadrill. This is as standard as it gets. We're just running a Chople Berry, and we're Admin instead of Jolly. I'm max speed with Admin because I want to outspeed Slurpuff if it gets the Unburden boost off. Max speed Slurpuff, that is, and so want to cover for that option. Pretty much everything else is very self-explanatory. Chople Berry here is obviously to deal with the Cobalion, because then if Cobalion Dynamaxes Max Knuckles, you know, or close combats in regular form, Chople just means we'll guaranteed survive an attack, and we really need to get a ground type attack off against the Cobalion because that's our best way of dealing damage into it. So yeah. I was considering attacks like High Horsepower or a fighting type attack over Rock Slide, but I don't know. The reason why I was thinking about those is because I don't think Charizard's really going to come out, so what are we really Rock Sliding? But there's always value to having Rock Slide on a max Excadrill because then you can just Dynamax Rockfall and then set up the Sand, which allows you to outspeed in subsequent turns, so I think it's still valuable to have, but kind of mulling over potential other options. Next Pokemon is Whimsicott. Now, we haven't actually used Eject Button Whimsicott in quite a while. I think the only other time we brought it in WBE was week 1, but I feel like this is actually a pretty good week to bring it out because, once again, we're going up against a beat-up strategy, and this beat-up strategy is a little bit tougher than the Virizion and the Terrakion that we went up against previously. In the last couple of weeks, when we went up against those Pokemon, we actually had a way to just one-shot the, Dynamax Terrakion or the Dynamax Virizion. Here, though, there's no way we can get a one-hit KO onto the Cobalion, and so this at least just gives me another option. Because I also wanted to run Focus Sash on Gigalith, because I'm running Explosion Gigalith, kind of similar to the set we brought against Nerd Out, I thought Eject Button made a lot of sense at Whimsicott. So, EV spreads were easy to make this week. Like, I pretty much just opted for max speed because we're up against Pokemon like Inteleon, Cobalion, and Alolan Persian. Alolan Persian's base 116, or 115, so Whimsicott gets to jump on that if we're running max speed. Standard moveset, Switcheroo if we're running Eject Button, Moonblast, and Tailwind are pretty much always on the set. Maybe you'll see Gleam or Energy Ball over Moonblast sometimes, or Grass Knot. And then Protect is the last one because we're going up against triple Fake Out this week, and so if I want to run Switcheroo, Protect turn 1 into Switcheroo turn 2 is very, very valuable for us. Gigalith is the next option. I do heavily think I'm going to prioritize these first 4, but Gigalith could replace one of them to support the Excadrill here. This is similar to the Explosion Gigalith I brought a couple of weeks ago. Once again, the reason why I like this is because if Cobalion is not led and I lead Gigalith, Explosion does so much damage turn 1 and gives me a free switch in as well. With Focus Sash, you have to double up into it, and I think it's often tough to feel good about doubling up into Gigalith on turn 1. So, standard moveset here. I want Stomping Tantrum just for more coverage, super effective coverage against the Cobalion, although it really won't do that much damage. Body Press could have maybe worked here as well. And I think Protect isn't completely necessary, but, is always kind of a safe 4th option. I don't really feel like I need much more offense on this. The only other thing I'll call out here is that we're not running, like, Brave Min Speed because I think Girders will potentially come out, so want to make sure, like, we outspeed Girder outside of Trick Room, because I don't really think he'll be going for a Trick Room-oriented strategy, but I think he might bring Min Speed Girder to, give Gigalith some trouble, and give the rest of my team some trouble as well. So, gonna run a little bit faster Gigalith than usual. We've done this previously before as well. And for the last Pokemon, we're using Primarina. I don't really know what the best Primarina set for this week is, honestly, because it is so tough to feel comfortable with it, given that we're up against Rillaboom. Like, Primarina was so good in VGC, and it still is, but then, even with Rillaboom, it was actually still super relevant, which is a testament to how good it is, but, unlike, regular VGC, we don't have great tools to kind of support the Primarina that are very anti-Rillaboom. My best answers here are Noivern and Huxtress, and, in, Series 5, you saw things like Incineroar, Cinderace, Togekiss, for example. So, Primarina is really tough here, because if I Dynamax it, it's definitely going to get 2-shot by Grassy Glide, even with the Rindo Berry, I think, which is really, really scary. However, the Rindo at least gives me an option where, if my opponent, just goes for a Glide immediately, I could Dynamax Primarina and go for Max Hailstorm with Blizzard to try to just knock out the opposing Rillaboom. So, this is actually pretty similar to the Rillaboom set that I brought against the London Bisharps last week. Primarina wasn't super relevant in that battle either, but at least, this gives me more comfort as opposed to just bringing something and getting one-shot by a Grassy Glide immediately, right? So, just full offense here, enough speed investment to outspeed Inteleon once again, and then the rest dumped in special attack and HP. So, yeah. That's going to be the matchup for this week. I have to say, honestly, I don't feel super great about it. I think there's just a lot of bulk on the opposing side that's kind of tough to break through, and yeah, Excadrill and Primarina are probably our heaviest hitters here. A lot of Pokemon resist Gigalith. Whimsicott's pretty much relegated to Moonblasting. Noivern's base special attack is just kind of mediocre as well. So, dealing damage might be a little bit difficult here, and we have to play very meticulously around the Rillaboom as well as Cobalion. That's just, I think, the #1 threat by far, but I think Cobalion and Rillaboom are going to give us a lot of trouble. So, I feel like this team probably could have been improved on a little bit, but at least gives me enough answers. And so I feel like if I play well with it, and I, get information and scout out the items, then, hopefully our fundamentals in VGC should carry us forward. But Poijz, I think, like I mentioned, definitely a really strong opponent, and I think a lot stronger than what his record might indicate, and as always, never one to underestimate anybody. So, yeah. That's it for the team building. Let's get into the battle. Hey guys, welcome to week 8 of the WBE. Of course, I'm the coach of the Melbourne Rotoms, and this week we're going up against the Detroit Littens. Now, we're doing pretty well in the league. We're 6-1, so we are very close to playoffs. I think if we win one of the next 3 battles, we are pretty much locked in, but even if we lose out here, I think we're still going to be in a very good position to make it. That being said, obviously, we want to win as many games as possible, so let's see. There is no Persian here, which I'm surprised by. I was really expecting beat up coming off from that. So that means Charizard probably has beat up for Cobalion, but that either means that your Cobalion has to be under base 100 speed, So that Charizard, or just like slower than Charizard, I should say, or the Charizard is Choice Scarfed, which could very likely be a thing as well. Okay. My original plan was to lead Noivern Toxtricity with Gigalith Excadrill in the back. Do I feel comfortable with that right now? I had so many different game plans for this. Like, another plan was just to lead Gigalith Noivern, but the thing is that if it's Charizard plus the Cobalion, that's not great. Okay, if it's Scarf Charizard, though, then Toxtricity Noivern doesn't do super well into that. But Noivern does let me scout out the items, which is nice. I really am curious if it's Scarfzard. I really wasn't expecting it. I thought Persian would definitely be coming out. I mean, I could just go Gigalith Excadrill. I'm going to stick to my game plan of Toxtricity, Noivern, Gigalith Excadrill. And because it's a best of 3, I feel like even if we lose, we can, absorb some information and see what the strategy is here. And if it's not Scarfzard, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble because I can just outspeed with both my Scarf Toxtricity and Scarf and Noivern. But once again, this is why I drafted Noivern. Even just finding out the items, like when we lose game 1, is so valuable. So I want to see what he leads with here. Cobalion and Meowstic. Okay. Interesting. I wonder if it screens then. So we got Noivern Tox. We can obviously Dynamax the Noivern. There might be a potential Thunder Wave coming out. Shuckaberry and Light Clay. Okay. Yeah, I figured Shucka would be there. Shuckaberry, Light Clay. Huh. So what do I want to do here? So I max the Noivern. I don't have great damage output against Cobalion, truth be told. I want to go for the Overdrive right now. Part of me wants to just Dynamax and Wormwind, like, Overdrive turn 1. Because, like, a Cobalion with weakened attack is just really useless. Yeah, let's go for that. I mean, maybe Meowstic sets up Light Screen, but that's okay. Yeah, once again, we're trying to get as much information here as possible. It's a good lead, though, and I think the Light Clay might be a little bit difficult to break through. So, yeah, I was fully prepared for Persian Cobalion as a lead. So, this makes things a little bit more interesting, but I like it. I think the Littens actually have a super solid team comp. And it's funny because we've faced Rizian already at this point. We faced Terrakion last week, and now we're going against the final of the 3 Musketeers in the Cobalion. But I think Cobalion probably actually gives us the toughest time because the others are a little bit more frail, whereas Cobalion has pretty solid coverage here. I don't have any fire. I mean, I was thinking about running a fire type attack, but I ultimately decided against it. It's just going to be Light Scream. Okay. That's fine, though. I mean, the thing is, like, Wormwind decreases the Cobalion from really doing too much damage right now. And I've still got Excadrill waiting in the back, but yeah, Meowstic takes that pretty nicely, so it's pretty cool. I've got the Shucka, though, which is good, to take a, potential Max Knuckle later on with the Excadrill in the back. But there's a decent chance, both screens go up in this game. That's actually more damage to Max Mindstorm. Interesting. Instead of Rockfall. Okay. I don't mind that too much. Like, Mindstorm. Because if you're running Shook, it also means you'd want to maybe run Protect, but I know he's run Mindstorm before. So Zen Headbutt coming from Mindstorm. I could just Wormwind again. I could even switch Toxtricity out here, which actually has some value because Excadrill can take it decently well. It gives me a free switch in. Decrease Meowstic's attack further. I wonder if they have Thunder Wave here. That could be a nuisance. Yeah, I think I'm going to opt for just another Wormwind here into Meowstic and switch Toxtricity out into Excadrill. Maybe I should have fit Brick Break on my team somewhere. Because, like, I knew he had Meowstic. I know he's run screens before. I want to conserve Toxtricity because I think it's pretty good in the late game against the majority of what we're going up against here. Okay, so it's just dual screens turn in the first 2 turns, which makes sense. So it's going to be difficult to break through this, honestly. The upside is, like, next, I can probably just target around the Meowstic right now. Cobalion's at -2. I guess they actually could have just gone for a Knuckle here, although that wouldn't do too much to us because they're at -2 attack and we have Chopal. Like, Cobalion's not that scary if it doesn't get the attack boosts off. But it's just going to opt for Rockfall, which is nice, actually. They just set up the Sand, so Excadrill can take advantage of that. And you can see how weak Cobalion is basically before it gets any boosts off, doing pretty much no damage there. Okay, so we get Excadrill in for free, but the problem is that we're playing against multiple turns of screens, and my team is not defensive enough to really stall out the screens. So we're basically going to have to try to do as much damage through the light screen and the reflect. But now the thing is, even if you have Scarf Zard, like, I just outspeed with Excadrill now. And a third max Wormwind means Cobalion only gets the +1 attack, so it's actually kind of underwhelming. Gigalith, however, I'd rather have Primarina in the back right now over Gigalith, but I think Gigalith was still the right decision to bring. So Zen Headbutt and Rockfall. Obviously, you normally want, like, Steel and Fighting, which means maybe no max Flying, which is good. Or Protect. Curious if Protect is on the moveset as well. Slurpuff comes out. Interesting. Slurpuff. I bet it's Babiri Berry, honestly, if I had to guess. I mean, I'm honestly really leaning towards just max Airstream Iron Head into Slurpuff, because if we can knock that out, that's great. Yeah, given that I have the Shuka on the Excadrill, I feel pretty safe with that right now. Okay, Slurpuff just protects. That's fine. I could have EQ'd here, but I don't mind this too much, I think. So let's confirm that. Decent damage still. They needed to protect there, otherwise, yeah, I think the double would KO even if you got the Babiri there. Only other play I could have really made there is like max... I guess now you do break my Shuka though. So maybe I should have EQ'd there just to get rid of the Shuka. That might have been better, but Slurpuff's scary. Okay, so we have Gigalith and Toxtricity in the back. Screens are still up. The attack boost doesn't really matter here. Shuka is what makes this kind of tricky. The thing is, if we go for Hurricane and it hits, I wonder if Hurricane EQ just picks up the knockout here. I should have EQ'd last turn probably, because close combat should definitely KO us now. I need damage against the Cobalion though, so yeah, I think I'm just going to EQ and Hurricane here. I don't know, I don't think that's enough for a knockout though, so maybe we lose both Pokemon here. Interesting sets. Shuka was something I anticipated, but maybe I didn't have the best answers against it. Like, Primarina might be the mode to go with in the next game. I think last turn EQ probably would have been good, just to get rid of the Shuka pre-Dynamax. Yeah, even if Hurricane hits, I don't think Hurricane plus EQ KOs with Reflect being up, but I'm not confident on that. Slurpuff switches, though, okay. Into Rillaboom? Yeah. Okay, I'll take that, because this actually puts Noivern in a really good endgame position. If like, Cobalion knocks out the Excadrill here, for example, then I can bring in the Tox. But it's just scary, because it might be dependent on hitting our Hurricanes at this point in the game. Let's see how much Cobalion takes from this. Oh, that was nothing. Man, Screen's Cobalion's tough to break through, and we miss Hurricane as well. Okay. He goes for Stone Edge, though. It's not KO us, but Sandstorm should. That's a tough miss, but that's what happens when I, risk using Hurricane. Can't really complain about that. Rillaboom is out. Pressure with Fake Out. This Cobalion's really tough to break through. I need better damage output against it in game 2. Because if we hit the Hurricane there, then I think another EQ probably KOs, but I guess I can't say that with confidence. I think we have to bring out Gigalith here. I've got Sash, which is good. They keep targeting around Excadrill, which is interesting. Slurpuff in the back shouldn't really be too much of a threat. 2 turns of Sand left. The Light Clay is tough here. So I have Explosion, I have EQ. I mean, the play I'm leaning towards here is Protect Stomping Tantrum into Cobalion, so then I can then Protect Gigalith and EQ next turn. Yeah. I've got Sash, so I think it's decently likely I get this off, but Sugar Cobalion's tough to break through, because especially with screen support. So I really like the screen support, and maybe teching Brick Break on would have been a little bit better for it. My game plan here was to just kind of stop the beat up from happening, but they have better Pokemon outside of Dynamax, basically, especially with Rillaboom. Okay, Glide goes in X. I'm hoping it's a double up into that slot. They Iron-Headed. It's a little risky if I had Policy there, but I don't, unfortunately, this time around. Okay. I don't know if EQ KOs that. I don't think it does. Okay, what do we do here? Maybe I should have had High Horsepower and Excadrill instead. We saw Iron Head though from and Knuckle, so we know the full Cobalion moveset. Yeah, I mean, I think the best play here really is to just protect EQ. If Cobalion does faint, we're in great shape, but I don't think it does, unfortunately. I think I'll hang on with just a little bit of HP left. But maybe, if we survive a CC, though, that'd be huge, right? Yeah, I'm going to protect EQ here. Oh, he switches out. Okay, I like that play a lot, actually. Yeah, it's a really nice play. I don't know, this, like, maybe sets up... Aha! Yeah, so Grassy Seed Slurpuff, which makes sense. He does Glide into the Protect, though, so we're getting a lot of free damage off right now. And Excadrill is EV'd, so let it outspeed Slurpuff even after the boosts. So we might actually stall out the screens here, which I definitely wasn't anticipating. That Slurpuff tanks that, though, after the screens and the Reflect. Although Sand just goes away. Screens was really tough to break through here, I have to say. So, not really good call on their end. Let's see. What can Slurpuff do against us right now? Am I scared of it? Probably. I mean, it gets... I'm really curious about the Slurpuff moveset. I have no idea what it's going to want to run here. Still 3 turns of Reflect. Do I really switch Gigalith out? It's not looking good. It's not looking good. I need a better game plan for game 2. If I go on into Toxtricity, I don't even know if Glide KOs us, actually. I do feel like I need to reset the Sand. I need to get more into my Dynamax this game. Dynamaxing Noivern was a cool move, but not when my opponent can set up Light Screen and I take 2 turns just to KO the Meowstic. Okay, so there's Glide. That's enough for a KO. Okay. Wow, you're still faster. And we flinch. Does this get Trick Room? No, it doesn't. Why is it so slow? I'm surprised by that. Well, that might have been a huge flinch then, which I got very lucky to get. We take those. I think here Slurpuff protects, and you Glide maybe... Well, the thing is that Terrain's also going to disappear for them soon. So I think you kind of actually need to switch out the Rillaboom here. That was a big flinch, though, for sure. There's only 2 turns of Reflect, so crazily enough, we might actually stall out Terrain. Last turn of Grassy Terrain. So, like, I think he should switch Rillaboom out right now into... You should switch Rillaboom and protect Slurpuff. But I can Rock Slide Iron Head, and if you stay in with Rillaboom, then you're in an awkward spot going into the next turn. Yeah, okay. If he stays in, I don't think Glide one-shots us here, right? But maybe I'm underestimating this damage output. Oh, I did underestimate that damage output. Was protecting there the play then? Yeah, it definitely was the play. Rillaboom Cobalion's really tough to break through with screens. So I gotta think of a better game plan. That will probably seal up the game. Well, Terrain does disappear now, so maybe not actually, because Screens is actually going to go away soon too. But it's not like we have any boosts on the Excadrill to make me really feel confident in it. Yeah, terrain's gone. So you're not doing much damage with the Rillaboom, but I should have protected there. I thought we would survive the glide, which was a bad assumption. So last turn Reflect, finally. I don't know, you probably switch Third Puff into Cobalion here, right? But I'm still going to Iron Head it, because I don't know its moveset. Maybe I should let him get an attack off against us. Okay, let's think about our game plan, because he's probably going to just lead Meowstic Cobalion again. He does switch Rillaboom out. So we could still win this with Excadrill, but it's not looking great. Because Iron Head presumably knocks out here. Yeah, Reflect is gone. You bring in Rillaboom, so then I protect, stall out 1 turn. Reflect is actually, somehow we stalled it out. So it's a question of how much Rillaboom does into us here. I should have protected the Gigalith there, though, I guess. I really thought Rillaboom had to switch out that turn, but... Because if we protect there, terrain's gone, you just do so much less damage, but... The reason I didn't want to protect with Gigalith is in case he does switch out into Cobalion, then next turn I'm in an awkward spot where I have to Earthquake myself. But, okay, right now we go for the Protect this turn. Yeah, that stalls out another turn of grassy terrain, so there will be 4 after this. It's a question of how much the glides do. We know Cobalion doesn't have Protect, so we can safely EQ into that slot. He's got high horsepower, too. Okay. That into a glide might be enough to KO us, then I'm thinking. Is this banded by any chance? I honestly think it might be banded. We have to EQ here. Let's see. That doesn't even KO Cobalion. That's super bulky. Okay. Yeah, well played. Very well played. Because like ban Rillaboom makes a ton of sense, and I actually do want to calc that because I was expecting the Gigalith to survive, and I feel like if it's not banded, then that's why I was surprised, right? So let's see, Woodhammer or not Woodhammer, Glide, grassy terrain. I can't tell if that was a high. Can't tell if it was a high roll or if it's banded, unfortunately. Okay, so he's probably going to lead the same thing, right? So I think what we do this next game is I got to force out the Dynamax. He got too much like, the thing is, like, Cobalion, it's just, like, difficult to outbulk. So what I want to do this game is I have the eject button Whimsicott. I want to lead it, and I know the Cobalion doesn't have Protect, so I can just trick the eject button away onto it turn 1. So I think we're going to go with that. The thing is that, like, Primarina is probably decent against Cobalion, but it really sucks against the Rillaboom in the back, so it's not a great Dynamax option, especially if that is banded Rillaboom. So let's see. I expect him to lead the same stuff. So then, yeah, like I said, I want to go Whim Tox. What if he reads into the eject button turn 1, though, and he fakes out Whimsicott? That would be bad, right? But I guess I get a free switch in, at least. So I want to go Whim Tox, Excadrill, Gigalith. The thing is that Gigalith is, like, not good here, is it? Like, can I even actually go Gigalith? Because I feel like I actually need to bring Noivern for Rillaboom. Like, this matchup just doesn't feel incredible. But I need Excadrill as well, which means I need a Dynamax Excadrill potentially, but... Given that I have Chopple, yeah, I'm going to go Noivern Excadrill, because I have dual Tailwind here as well. But, this is tricky. I felt like I probably could have, like, had a little bit better prep here. Excadrill gets Brick Break, right? Because if so, then I definitely should have had that on over Rock Slide. Although Charizard did end up coming out here, which I have to say I wasn't fully expecting. Yeah, it gets Brick Break. I should have Brick Break on Excadrill. He goes Charizard Meowstic. Okay. That's interesting. It's very interesting. What do I want to do here? I really do want to just switch Roo turn 1, because I don't know if he expects it. And even if it doesn't work out, like, I can just bring in Noivern. Yeah, so I'm actually content just going for Switcheroo and Overdrive turn 1. I think one thing we might want to do in this game is also not knock out Meowstic and let it like sit on the field and kind of let it be like useless. Turn on the lights real quick. It's a really cool team though. I think nicely played so far. Okay, so they don't switch, which means I don't really get the eject button stuff off, unfortunately, here. It's AV. Okay, well that's fine, because we switched that out. Charizard has AV, interesting. And Meowstic is Heat Wave. Nice. Alright, so that's a good turn 1. Meowstic with Light Clay. With Heat Wave. Or not Heat Wave, sorry, Sunny Day. Sunny Day, Light Screen, Reflect. So do you have Fake Out as the last attack on Meowstic? Because if not, this means I get to take advantage of the switcheroo stuff a lot more, which is nice. Cobalion comes out. I've got Noivern and Excadrill in the back. I probably should have had a Fire type attack on Noivern. I was thinking between that and Tailwind. Okay, what do we do now? He's gonna set up Light Screen this turn. I don't even think we KO Meowstic, actually. Do we need to KO it? I don't know. I don't think we do, actually. Well, if we KO it, it can also get Reflect up. But I think the play here is we just need to damage Cobalion, so I'm just going to Moonblast and Overdrive it. Rillaboom should be his last one right now. So, good decision not to Dynamax on his end turn 1, too. I probably wasn't expecting the eject button, because like Heat Wave also is just such a strong option against both things there, but yeah, nicely done. Assault Vest Charizard is interesting. And unfortunately, because we have the AV, we can't like trick the Shuka Berry away, which would have been really nice here. Yeah, so there's Light Screen. I really want to confirm Meowstic's last attack and whether or not it's Fake Out. We could also just Dynamax Excadrill this time around, right? Like, that's pretty good damage on a Cobalion, actually. I'll take that. It's gonna Steel Spike, which is fine. Obviously, the problem is that it gets a defense boost now. Do I go into Excadrill? Because, like, we don't really do much with it, damage-wise. I could go into... If I go into Noivern, what's my play here? He's definitely going to Reflect this next turn, right? He's got to have Rillaboom as the last one, too. He's probably going to want to max Knuckle into Excadrill. He's got the defense boost, Reflect up. Or at least Light Screen up. He's going to Reflect this turn. I honestly feel compelled to go into Noivern here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Items. No new knowledge here. I mean, I'm honestly expecting like a Mindstorm here into Toxtricity again. So I want to Wormwind just to get an attack drop on the Cobalion and switch the Toxtricity out into Excadrill. Because what we're trying to do is basically stall out the Dynamax on the Cobalion's end right now. Yeah, let's go for that. Because the Noivern should beat the Rillaboom and the Charizard in the back. Even with screens up, that's not too much of a concern. So it's like similar strategy where we try to decrease the Cobalion's attack here. The problem, like the reason I don't feel great about Dynamaxing Excadrill is because of the Shuka, the Reflect, and the defense boost now. Plus, Noivern matches up kind of better into what's in the back. And with the Shuka and Cobalion in Dynamax, like you can't really do that much damage to either of our Pokemon right now. But yeah, I should have probably tried to fit in Brick Break onto Excadrill over Rock Slide. That's one change I definitely would have made this week, in retrospect. Okay, we don't knock out Meowstic, but I actually want that to be the case, because I don't want to give him a free switch in. So that's fine by me. I'd love to see Mindstorm here. He goes for Rockfall. That's also fine, because once again, the Sand is now set up for Excadrill. Yeah, we don't take that much damage. Okay, that's actually okay. Because now what I can do is just go Earthquake. Question is whether I want to... Like, what is Meowstic's last attack? Like, I feel like Thunder Wave makes a lot of sense. Actually, does it faint here? Oh, it does. Okay, that might be a good thing then. Because Cobalion only has 1 turn of Dynamax. We have an extra turn. We still have max HP Toxtricity in the back, so that can come in and dish out a lot of damage. Charizard's obviously really low, and it has an AV, so it's going to faint to any attack. So if you bring out Charizard, yeah, it's just going to, you know, go down this turn. So I think the play here is pretty clear-cut. We just go Max Wormwind, get the knockout onto Charizard, and just Earthquake. It's not going to do very much against Cobalion, but it gets rid of the Shuka, and Cobalion's at -2 attack. And then Toxtricity can maybe clean up this game for us now. So, yeah. The Overdrive Moonblast damage on the Cobalion was actually really nice. It was more than I expected, so... Yeah, we take those. But Shuka is tough to break through. It's funny because we both have the type resist berries, but with the Reflect, it's just tougher to break through. And look how little damage we do there. Maybe I should have had a Phantasm on Noivern. I wanted Tailwind as a second speed option. Because I was thinking like maybe we want to prioritize Primarina in this game, but maybe Primarina wasn't even right to bring this week. Because like, how could he not bring out Rillaboom, right? Yeah, there's Knuckle. So gets rid of our Shuka. Cobalion, we know can't protect. We're probably not stalling out screens, but at least this time around, I don't have to worry about missing a max flying type attack. I really, you know, banded Rillaboom would make so much sense this week because I'm running Primarina. Like, I really think that is the case. Should be Rillaboom as the 4th, yeah. One more turn of Dynamax on my end. I mean, I'm actually, yeah, I need to calc if Banded Glide knocks us out here, because if it does, we have to protect Wormwind. That might be the play regardless. Rillaboom into Excadrill. Assuming your max attack. Woodhammer, or sorry, Glide. Let's also make sure we don't run out of time. That is gonna potentially knock us out. It's a roll. I'm gonna Wormwind into the Cobalion Protect. Because getting an attack decrease on both is great, and then I can just EQ Draco Cobalion, bring in Tox, and then just Sludge Bomb Rillaboom. I think that's our play. There also might be Fake Out Close Combat into Excadrill here. But he just goes for Glide, which, if you're going for Glide there, really makes me think you're banded, but I still can't save with confidence yet. No, it's really good damage. Okay, nice. So maxing Noivern was the right call here, and that's because we need it for the Rillaboom. I just wish we could have confirmed the last move. He goes for Stone Edge, and we do get a lucky dodge, but that was not KOing unless he crits us. But if anything, this battle is like a lesson on why 70% accurate attacks are mid-tier. Okay. So with that attack drop, I think we should be good now. I want to risk missing a Hurricane here. I mean, EQ should knock out Cobalion from that range, right? I think because we have Toxtricity as the last one, we just go Draco here and EQ. If EQ KOs, the Draco gets redirected into Rillaboom anyway. He goes for another Glide. That's... no way. Yeah, that's definitely banded. Okay. Wow, that's still KO'd. What in the world? I gotta do that calc afterwards. But we KO Cobalion, so we're still good. Okay, well, I'm glad to confirm it's banded Rillaboom, because this whole time I was wondering. Which means it probably doesn't have Fake Out. We were at like, what, 140? How did that KO? Grassy terrain. Ah, grassy terrain wasn't up in the calc. That's why. Does that mean he's banded then? Because, wait, if... yeah, that's got to be banded. Which makes so much sense. Like, I was prepared for Ban Thwacky last week, right? Fortunately, Draco knocked out there. If not, we actually would have been in a... Actually, I think we still would have been fine, probably, but... Now we can just Hurricane, Sludge Bomb. But that miss may have come into handy then, yeah, because... Oh, I should have protected there, but it doesn't make a difference. Because, yeah, we just Sludge Bomb here. And that's a 2-hit KO. It's an intense set. Really, really fun set. I think, it's a little tricky for our team here. Game 3 is what's going to be tricky, because there's no way he lets me just get the switcheroo stuff off on turn 1, right? There's no way. Is there any value to going for switcheroo onto Meowstic? I do get rid of its Light Clay. And that would be interesting. I still don't know if Meowstic has Fake Out as the last one. That's the only thing that's bugging me here. Because if it does have Fake Out, you just Fake Out into Whimsicott now turn 1 in the next game. So is there any, like, guaranteed counterplay around this Meowstic is my question. Is there any guaranteed counterplay? I mean, that has to be choice band unless I'm, like, doing the calc wrong again here. It's gotta be, I think. That's so powerful, by the way, too. Jeez. Okay, so what do we do in game 3? Turn 1 obviously was great for us. We've revealed the eject button stuff, but he doesn't have Protect on a lot of his Pokemon. Like, I don't think Rillaboom, Charizard... We know Charizard can't have it. We know... We haven't seen Meowstic yet. That's part of the tricky thing. It's Cobalion, man. Okay. Do I go with Whim again? He should be prepared to deal with the Whim. Like, I led Whim to deal with the Cobalion. He didn't lead it, so I'm wondering if he's just like, I'm just going to go back to Cobalion. Surprised he switched up his leads there, actually. What if I go back to Noivern Toxtricity? What if I? Because I can Nuzzle with Toxtricity, and now I know he has Max Mindstorm as well. Like, I really want to bring Primarina, but he's always going to bring the Rillaboom, so I have to bring Tox and Noivern. Me oh my. What's his best lead against this? Rillaboom? It would be Rillaboom plus, like, Meowstic, maybe? Would he really go with that? I feel... I'm, expecting Cobalion just in Meowstic again, because it worked for him in the first game. But I feel like it's really tough to get Eject Button to work, like, 2 times in a row. And if he does have Fake Out on the Meowstic and he goes for it turn 1, then it's really bad. I think I'm going to try Noivern, Excadrill, Toxtricity, and Gigalith. I guess the problem is that Gigalith gets destroyed by the Rillaboom here. Yeah, I don't feel confident going for Eject Button stuff again when I don't know the full moveset. Because, like, if I call it wrong, I'd probably just lose on, like, turn 1. Which is what makes it tricky. Either way, it's been a really fun set. He does just go with Cobalion Meowstic. Oh, I really wonder if Meowstic's last attack is Fake Out. This is still okay, though. I mean, I think it's okay. What do we do here? I've got Toxtricity in the back, which is really essential in dealing with the... Like, the play I'm honestly leaning towards the most here is actually just Dynamax, Wyrmwind into Meowstic, and EQ turn 1 to get rid of the Shuka immediately. I just think it's really tough to Dynamax Excadrill. Okay. See, the thing is, if he doesn't have Fake Out on the Meowstic, then I obviously could have just gone Trick Overdrive again. But I feel like you've got to be prepared for that, right? Or maybe he was just hard calling me out saying, I don't think you're going to lead Whimsicott again. Which could make some sense as well. I don't even know, like, I'm thinking, like, what other Pokemon I could have even brought into this matchup that I didn't bring this week. And Cobalion's just tricky. Maybe I could have led Whim and just gone for Fake Out turn 1. That could have worked. I don't know. This is fine, though. Like, it's just sad, because, like, with eject button stuff, you can often win the game on turn 1, basically. Wait. Meowstic? What is it going for? It's attacking? So it doesn't have Fake Out. But it doesn't get screens up this game, which is huge. Is it? What is it going for? I mean, I'm double checking if this gets Trick Room. Yeah, it does. Is it Trick Rooming? That'd be really interesting. Huh. I don't know if we KO with EQ here. I actually don't think we do. Oh, we do knock out. Nice. Okay. I did not expect that to happen, but we take those. It has to be... I mean... Meowstic's base 104, too, so I'm thinking it was Trick Room this time around. And I guess maybe one way he was going to counteract my play was Trick Room, switch out Cobalion. Like, that would make a lot of sense, I think, right? But I think now we're in actually pretty good shape, because I can just max Airstream into Rillaboom, and he doesn't have screen support this time around, and the Cobalion's at -1. So I like Airstreaming into Rillaboom. Just thinking of whether like I should protect or switch out Excadrill here. I think the answer is to switch out, because what does staying in accomplish for us right now? We just take extra damage, and we need Excadrill for this endgame. So I don't mind just going for Airstream and switching out into Gigalith here. I mean, I'm guessing that was Trick Room coming out from Meowstic. But no screen support this time, and we break Shucko turn 1 is huge. It's absolutely huge. And the Cobalion's... Oh, it's at neutral, sorry. It's not at -1. Ah, he's baiting. Okay, into Slurpuff. Makes sense. I think that's fine. I like that play a lot. But I think I mean, the only thing I would have done different... No, I couldn't even EQ in that position. That's so much damage, though. Wow. Okay, not bad. Fortunately, the speed boost doesn't really matter on Gigalith, but it's fine. He is playing this correctly, because he needs to use Rillaboom to beat my... just beat my entire team in this late game. This actually might come down to whether we hit a Hurricane or not, which I really hate, but I'm not sure there's really a way around it. Maybe I should have run Air Slash then to be a little bit more consistent with accuracy. We could have Airstream EQ'd there, because then we would be faster, but I don't mind conserving Excadrill for the late game. Like, I think that option is fine. I feel like Slurpuff protects here. As you max Knuckle Gigalith, but if you KO Gigalith, that's fine if I get a free switch in. My only fear is if I KO Slurpuff and I give him a free switch in, that's bad. Like, I'm leaning towards Wormwinding here, just... I guess we should just maximize our damage output against Cobalion right now, so we just Airstream and Stomping Tantrum. Because we know Cobalion can't protect. And if Slurpuff protects, I think we win the game off this turn. But it doesn't protect, okay. That's a lot of damage, though, jeez. This might be a problem. Well, let's see what Slurpuff goes for. It's just Dazzling Gleaming. Okay, then it's fine. That's actually totally fine, yeah. And Rockfall. Is that KO? It does. That would have been a reason to Wormwind, so that we survive. This is a really good set. Cobalion hangs on. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, though. This is really intense. Because, like, here's the thing. Now, like, Slurpuff can protect this turn. I mean, I think Excadrill is the right Pokemon to go into right now. What if I just go into Tox? No, the thing is, because we know it's banded, right? We have to kind of lock ourselves into Sludge Bomb. Okay. Okay. We know Excadrill outspeeds the Slurpuff right now. Toxtricity is the win con against in this late game. So if I protect EQ here, he protects Slurpuff. Oh, how many turns of terrain are left? There's only 3. That's actually kind of a big deal. I don't know if Rock Slide KOs here. That's my only problem. Because if Slurpuff survives, that would be bad. Although I think Slurpuff protects here anyway. EQ protect? There's no way you don't protect Slurpuff here, though. But the thing is, if we knock out Cobalion, then we can just bring in Toxtricity and click Sludge Bomb. But the protect there was so telegraphed. Like, I could have just Iron Headed there, and but like I can't risk it because I don't know Slurpuff's full moveset. That's the problem, right? So here's the thing: the upside is that there's only 2 turns of terrain left. I don't even know if Slurpuff knocks out Gigalith, because if you can't, like, I can just use Explosion this turn. I really wish I knew, like, more of Slurpuff's, like what it was using in this set specifically. Can it even knock us out? I don't think it can. Like, I really don't think it can. 2 turns of Sand, 2 turns of Terrain. Like, I think the play here is to just Iron Head into Slurpuff and Explosion. Because I don't think you can knock out both Pokemon here, unless... I mean, I'm just double-checking, like, all of Slurpuff's moves. I don't think it has a way to one-shot us here. It does get Drain Punch, but I don't think Drain Punch should one-shot Gigalith, so yeah, I go for Iron Head Explosion here. If he glides into Gigalith, we win, for sure. But even if not, Slurpuff has to KO here. Unless Slurpuff goes for the double. That could be an option as well. Oh, he actually went for it! Wow! I didn't think he'd go for that. And Rillaboom correctly didn't go for Glide. Wait. Oh, I was gonna say, why is this so slow? But that makes sense. Okay, so we get Explosion off. Which means Toxtricity should just close out this game now. Because we outspeed the... We're Choice Scarf, so we can just Sludge Bomb. He's just gonna high horsepower here, yeah. I think we probably still would have been fine, actually, even if you get the double off there. Because I get the Explosion off, I do that much damage to Rillaboom, and then both of my opponent's Pokemon are in super, super low HP, right? And then, like, Toxtricity outspeeds the Rillaboom, which is locked into high horsepower, so I can just bring Tox out, Sludge Bomb. I don't think Slurpuff can do anything to two-shot the Toxtricity here. Although I'm not confident on that. That was a really good set. That was probably, like, the closest... I mean, it was definitely the closest set we've had thus far. Where, like, all 3 games I thought were really, really intense. Yeah, great prep on his end, man. I really like the team he brought. I thought really good execution as well. The screens was just really tough to break through. I think the only way I could get around that is... Not the only way. I shouldn't ever say the only way. But Brick Break on Excadrill would have been a good call, I think. This game was huge, though, right? I mean, being able to bypass the screens and having no screen support was really, really big. But, you know, definitely a little bit of RNG on both sides. We got a little bit lucky with the Stone Edge avoid in Game 2 and then the lack of a double protect in Game 3. Good awareness. Like, you could see, obviously, he knew exactly what the win con was. He was like, I can't lock myself into Glide because I know there's Toxtricity in the back, so I have to go for the double and hope for it. So... Thinking if there's any way... I don't... Yeah, I think even if it's a 2v1 with Toxtricity, we still win, although I would have felt better if I had... I'm thinking of the poison type attack that hits everyone on the field. Because I had Overdrive, but I don't think that does enough. So then it's a big question on what Slurpuff's last attacks are. Because it did look like well, it didn't take the Airstream super well, but I have no idea what the last 2 attacks were. So the question is whether a Slurpuff could 2-shot the Toxtricity Because I can just bring out Toxtricity, I Sludge Bomb and a Rillaboom, they get an attack off, and if we survive the second attack, then we'll just KO. But that was a really, really great set. Like, I think, really cool team, really good prep, and overall, I mean, it was challenging on every turn. So, yeah, great game, man. That's going to be it for this week. The Melbourne Rotoms are now 7-1, so we should be guaranteed playoffs, which is exciting, but, you know, the goal was always to try to at least make playoffs, try to improve on a week-to-week basis. I feel like this week, I don't know, I like, didn't feel amazing about my team. I felt like I had enough fundamentals to win, and I, you know, felt like I could rely on my VGC fundamentals, but I do feel like I maybe should have had some more tricks up my sleeve. The eject button was helpful. I really, yeah, I was thinking Meowstic was going for Trick Room on game 3, so I'm glad we ended up KOing it. And yeah, that was just a crazy good set. So yeah, GG's. Thanks as always for watching and for supporting the Melbourne Rotoms. Go check out our opponent. He's linked in the description below, and I'll see you all next week. All right, peace.